5-year, $190 million max deal to return to the Lakers. His agent, Rich Paul, tells me that deal will include an early termination option before the 5th year, before the 24-25 season. So now Anthony Davis and LeBron James both locked up long term. I'm told that Davis could sign that contract as soon as today.
Yeah, so LeBron with a 2-year extension on top of the year that he had. That's 3 more years for him. AD for 5 years now. So the Lakers in extraordinarily good shape going into this season. And I mentioned Woj has been very busy with that breaking news on top of the trade last night. For those, Woj, who didn't see it, let's go through the monster deal from the NBA last night, the Rockets and the Wizards.
Yeah, John Wall headed to the Houston Rockets along with a 2023 first-round pick for Russell Westbrook. That was a deal that came together very quickly yesterday. The two general managers talked for the first time in weeks in the afternoon, and they had a deal a few hours later, agreed on the parameters of the deal. And now, you know, for both Houston and Washington, each is trying to please their franchise player, James Harden and Bradley Beal. They exchanged point guards. Both point guards wanted to go to the other team. And there's a lot at stake for both Washington and Houston now as they move forward and trying to keep Bradley Beal, trying to keep James Harden long term.
So many moving parts in all of this. Again, it's almost hard to keep track of. Is there any way of gauging at this point how this will impact James Harden, who we know has been giving serious thought to wanting out of Houston? Do we have any way of knowing if this will make him happy?
Well, he had a preference of John Wall over Westbrook, although in the last couple of years, you know, Harden has moved teammates in and out, brought Chris Paul in, moved him out. Same with Russell Westbrook now. Whether that's going to be enough to convince him to want to be there long term, Rockets aren't sure about that. They do have a cushion to work with. Remember, James Harden's under contract for 2 more years. So they're going to start the season with Harden and Wall, and they're hopeful that John Wall can get back to that all-star form, a 5-time all-star, a former #1 overall pick. And if they can get John Wall back playing at a high level, you know, they're hopeful that will help to make a case to James Harden.
All right, so just extraordinary. Again, recapping last night, Woj, with the news of the huge trade, and this morning, breaking right here on Get Up, it is a 5-year, $190 million deal for Anthony Davis in L.A. We'll get you and Jay Will back a little later to break this thing down. Woj, outstanding. Thank you so much on this very...
On SportsCenter AM, we have a Woj bomb on this Thursday morning. All-NBA forward Anthony Davis finalizing a 5-year, $190 million maximum contract to stay with the L.A. Lakers. Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul telling ESPN that deal includes an early termination option prior to the 5th season in 2024-25, and the deal could be signed as soon as today. Andrew Wojnarowski joining us here on SportsCenter AM. Woj, what more can you tell us about how this deal came together?
Yeah, Randy, Anthony Davis, his agent Rich Paul, have been talking through the length of a deal that they wanted to do with the Lakers. They knew they were returning to L.A., and they worked through details last night with each other, with the Lakers, and he's going to sign that 5-year deal. He'll have an early termination option after the 4th year, before the 2024-25 season, when he'll still be in his early 30s and be able to go back and presumably get another big contract. So now he has 1 more year on his deal than LeBron James, who signed an extension yesterday. But now Anthony Davis and LeBron James both locked in long term as the Lakers pursue more titles in L.A.
That is a problem for the rest of the Western Conference, and let's be honest, really, for the rest of the NBA. That's Adrian Wojnarowski with the very latest. Keep it with us on SportsCenter. On SportsCenter, All-NBA forward Anthony Davis is finalizing a 5-year, $190 million maximum contract to stay with the Los Angeles Lakers. CEO Rich Paul of Clutch Sports telling ESPN, deal includes an early termination option prior to the 5th season in 2024-25. Deal could be signed as soon as today. And AD was the keystone of that Lakers defense. Opponents shooting 38.9% last season with him as the closest defender. Among the more than 150 players to defend at least 500 shots, Only Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis Antetokounmpo, allowed a lower percentage. We're going to have Woj on this momentarily. You know, it's funny hearing our front office insider, Bobby Marks, talk about the Russell Westbrook-John Wall trade is a rare supermax for supermax deal, but it's true. The contracts work. Wizards sending Wall and a first-round pick to Houston in exchange for Westbrook. But what do the analytics say? ESPN's Kirk Goldsberry exploring that in his latest Off the Charts.
The 2023 NBA draft, trade talks had been stalled since mid-November until both GMs got on the phone and found a way to hash out a deal. Let's talk about the backstory and how we got here with our insider, Brian Windhorst. Wendy, it was clear the Westbrook experiment in Houston didn't go as planned, but why did both teams make this deal now?
Yeah, I know that this is a trade of all-star point guards making $40 million a year, and you tend to focus on those players. But this trade is really about the other stars on these teams. This is about Bradley Beal and about James Harden. This is the Wizards trying to move on from a relationship that had gotten a little bit rocky. And look, the Wizards want to try to make the playoffs this year because they do not want Bradley Beal asking out, and they feel that this trade will improve them because John Wall's been out with injury so much. And in Houston, while I do not believe that this is going to save the Harden relationship, the Westbrook-Harden marriage had failed. And this is an attempt to try to keep things together as they try to start the season with James Harden on the roster. So very much about holding on to the other stars as the guys, as much as the guys who got traded.
Now, you mentioned Wall and the injuries. He hasn't played the last 2 years as he's rehabbed his Achilles. What do you think is the potential that his comeback actually makes the Rockets better than when they had Westbrook?
Yeah, so the Rockets wager here, I mean, they're getting a first-round pick in this deal, but the wager here is that he will be able to recover from this injury, and at age 30, with his 3 years and over $150 million left on his contract, that he will actually sort of age better than Westbrook. Now, there have been workouts in recent months with Wall in Los Angeles and Miami. His peers have seen him and reported back to the Rockets that he looks very good. Tony, this is a terrible injury to overcome, without question. But the Rockets are hoping that they can stitch something together and create some momentum with James Harden, and they hope that a surprising John Wall will be better in the short run and in the year 2 and 3 of this contract.
We'll have to wait and see. Now, 14 combined All-Star appearances making moves in this blockbuster deal. Brian Windhorst, as always, appreciate the insight.
Drew, say good to see you. We'll see you down the road. NBA champs making news. LeBron James agrees to a 2-year, $85 million extension with the Lakers. Deal ties James through the 22-23 season with the Lakers, which would be his 20th in the league. Average better than 25, better than 10, and almost 8 rebounds, while finishing second in regular season MVP voting and winning a ring and getting a finals MVP. As LeBron's salary increases, so does his age. He's owed just over 39 this upcoming season, and that extension kicks in after that, replacing the player option. James will make $44.5 when he's 38 years old. Hope Dave McMenamin enjoyed the 3 minutes off he got out of the bubble and the season getting ready to start. We're saddling back up and riding our Lakers horse here. I don't know that there's ever a bad time to take $80-some-odd million in guaranteed money, but why now for LeBron?
It kind of follows the same playbook, Scott, that he had back in 2016. He wins the championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He submits his commitment and loyalty to the franchise because that gave him everything he wants out of his NBA experience, being able to put his body, his mind, his family through an NBA season in order to get the ultimate prize of winning a championship and, validating his existence, trying to strive for greatness for the greatest of all time. He did this again here, win the championship with the Lakers. Why did he have to think about going anywhere else? And of course, the other caveat, just last year we were talking about him being in his mid-30s, missing the playoffs, having the biggest injury of his career. Well, this actually guards against some of that, gives him an extra year guaranteed money, $85 million, not a bad payday.
Well, the ultimate thing, I think, for LeBron, and he spoke of it, is maybe someday teaming up with his son. Now, look, Bronny, who knows if he's going to be an NBA talent, if he's an NBA talent. We don't know that yet. But if we do the math here, Dave, you don't have to squint to see what it would be. Free agency sets up around the time, presumably, Bronny could be heading to the NBA. All right, is it reasonable to connect those dots?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, think about it. LeBron put it out there in the 2017 finals that the greatest accomplishment of his career would be someday playing alongside his son in the NBA. This contract ends in 2023 at the same time that his son, Bronny, is slated to graduate from high school. Now, right now, with the current CBA, Bronny couldn't come right from high school to the NBA, but who knows if the CBA will have adjustments between now and then. And certainly, even if Bronny is not necessarily an outright lottery pick, if he's a borderline guy who you think could help your franchise potentially, while also be a guy who brings the gravitational pull of his father, who's one of the greatest players of all time, that's a real possibility.
Sure it is. And I think it's reasonable given the type of fitness and commitment to fitness, Dave, that LeBron has shown to say, even like to a degree like Brady, even if his age starts with a 4, I think in LeBron's case, it's almost, he's got a little Benjamin Button quality. I think it's reasonable to think he could play competitively at that stage. Do you?
I think so. And obviously, we just talked about that season, nearly season ruining injury a year